Hey guys, Zeno here, and I wanted to show out the pros and cons of the really popular games PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG, and Fortnite. Now hold on, before you get your titties in a bunch, this video isn't meant to bash on either PUBG or Fortnite, even though I'm going to spoil and say I do prefer PUBG, but that's just my opinion. But I just wanted to point out the pros and cons to each game to me, so let's get anal about this. Let's get analyzing. So yeah, what I'm going to do is pretty much just start with PUBG, list the pros, and maybe do a little description on each on why I count them as pros, and list the cons of it, and then, kind of explain why they're cons and so on, and then do the same thing for Fortnite, and then kind of just let those things speak for themselves. Now, I've only made a list so big, the list's so big, because if I can nitpick every single thing in the game, this video would go on forever. So I have nothing else to say, so let's just get started with PUBG's pros. The first thing I noted is you can go prone. That is a pretty big deal to me, because in Fortnite you can only really crouch to hide, but there's a lot of other movement in Fortnite that you can use to help keep yourself, hidden. But going prone is just something you want to do in real life to hide. Hide into the grass, you go prone. So that's the first pro. The second one are that PUBG has bigger maps. First thing, it has multiple maps, but we'll get later on that. But yeah, huge maps. It gives you more of an area to run around in, and it gives you more of an area to explore while the place is slowly shrinking, so you can get more weapons, get more health packs and stuff. It's just having something bigger. Bigger is always better, as they always like to say. The next pro is, and you can put this in quotes here, they have, quote, realistic graphics. And this is personal preference to me. I do like the art style of a lot of video games, but when you want to take something and put realism in it, having realistic graphics helps. And I know PUBG is more focused on trying to be realistic, even though it isn't. Nothing can ever be realistic in a video game, but they can always try, and that's what I can see that PUBG is trying to do. So having realistic graphics can help. If they optimize it better, that would be better, but anyway. Moving next, they have vault movement, which means you can climb over objects. This was added actually recently, probably when I first got the game. And at this time, I'd like to mention, I actually got the game for free. I was one of those lucky people that NVIDIA gave out free codes to PUBG for. So yeah, I got the game for free. I was in the test environment, and yeah, vault movement is in the game, where you can climb over and climb on top of objects, which is really helpful instead of adding a huge jump in the video, in the game to help get over things. Having an actual climbing system just makes it look more smooth and natural. And the next thing is first-person aiming. This is another biggie one to me, so you can actually play in third or first person, and they have the game modes to complement both those types of play styles. So if you want to play in first person, you just press a button, and you can if you're playing in third person mode, because they actually have it where you can play in both in third person mode. And they have their own entire game modes for solely playing in first person, so people can't take advantage of always looking in third person to help find people or help ambush people. So aiming in first person is also, sometimes it just feels better, because everybody's played FPS games. They already know how to do that. So it's right there. Moving next, we can sell crates and clothes for Steam money. I actually like this one a lot. Once I figured out that they integrated the Steam Workshop for that, I got more excited to play the game, because it's a good way to slowly save up money as you play a game you like to earn and play even more games. In fact, at the time of making this video, I have made almost $10 in Steam money right now. So soon I'll actually be able to purchase something like Rainbow Six Siege, which I plan on getting once I earn enough, so I can play that game too. And it's all thanks to PUBG. Getting it for free was just a bonus for me, but this can help recuperate some of your loss by selling the crates and stuff, especially if you get the rare items. They can go for tens of dollars. Moving on next, another pro for PUBG is multiple maps. And as of this recording, we do have two, the desert map and the Russian island map, or whatever it's called. And I've actually heard that they have a third map announced, so they're actively working on, making sure there's variation in maps and gameplay. And to my knowledge, Fortnite only has one. So there's another pro. And the last pro I have for PUBG right now on my list is there's more character customization in a way. And that's a key word right there, because a little nitpick I have with Fortnite is you can't really choose who you want to be. You know, you can't be like, I like to call him the blonde guy, the discount Soldier 76 guy. He literally looks like just like a rip-off of Soldier 76, and things like that. You know, you can actually pick the clothes you want. And I know you kind of can in Fortnite, but you usually have to invest in V-Bucks and earn them to get that. But other than that, you're kind of stuck to the default clothes. And in PUBG, you can decide to sell the crates, you can decide to open the crates and take the clothes and use them to customize your character. You can customize the gender, the hair, the face. You can do all sorts of things like that, which is a huge plus for me because I like trying to make a character look like how I want them to look. Now we will move into the cons of PUBG. The first one is they have pretty high GPU requirements compared to Fortnite. And that's actually pretty bad, and that's usually because it's not as optimized because it's actually developed by a smaller company, but nonetheless, if a game's that popular, they should be focusing on that so more and more people have access to the game. So high GPU requirements to play it at a smooth, frame rate is pretty bad. And another con of PUBG is actually also huge maps, because that usually tends out to have long, drawn-out games, which is actually the next con I have on the list. Huge maps lead to longer games, and the map shrinks at different rates than it does on Fortnite. So the games tend to be drawn out longer, which can be a little more intensive in a way, but it just takes longer, and sometimes it can be drawn out and boring. So the next thing on the list of cons would be optimization issues. This kind of ties into the high GPU requirements just because a lot of the textures and the way the map loads into the game isn't well as optimized as Fortnite is, and since Fortnite has a more streamlined process to it and a bigger budget to develop, it's a lot harder for PUBG to catch up on that, and sadly we have to suffer with longer load times and lag and higher GPU requirements, as I've said before, so that's a con right now. And another con for PUBG would be, I say on the thing it says worse hit detection. I say worse because technically the hit detection in both Fortnite and PUBG aren't the greatest compared to some other games, but as they're currently optimizing PUBG right now, the hit rate, the hit detection, especially when everybody's still alive, is horrible. I mean, a lot of them, if you can look in the kill cams, all the shots look like they don't even align correctly, and that could be how the kill cams are programmed. But from your perspective, you've probably even had moments where you swore you shot them and it didn't do anything, or they flinched and it didn't count as a hit. This is all due to the bad hit detection, and it's probably just because all the servers are overloaded and there's so many players in one match. But that's always a con. Another con are randomized crates. This is actually pretty bad too, because you never know what you're gonna get. It's that stupid loot box, what's the word? It's that stupid loot box like scenario where you don't know what you want to get, you don't know what you're gonna get. And for Fortnite, usually you can have your V-Bucks and spend it on the clothes you want. So they have an advantage over that. And I haven't actually ever unlocked a pinata yet in Fortnite, but having an option to actually buy what you want isn't good. And I mean, technically, if you go to the Steam Workshop, you can buy the clothes directly, but that's kind of like a third-party thing in the game. It's not 100% integrated, built into the game, if you really think about it. Really like a non-pointing con right there. But another con for PUBG, let's just move on. I don't know where I was really going with your randomized crates, don't know why it's on the list. But another con for PUBG would be duo mode earns less in PUBG, less PUBG points per game. And this is only a personal thing, because playing as a team, it's weird that you earn way less. It's like it's divided among the group, and they probably do that just because you might have one guy who's really good and can take, he can help people who aren't as good earn more points if it was still normal points. But according to my knowledge, I don't think Fortnite has ever done that, or I can't really tell. So earning less just makes it less of an incentive to play with people, other than the fact that it's fun. If you're focusing on earning PUBG points, it's best just to play solo. And yet another con for PUBG would be a $30 starting price. Yes, unlike me, who got it for, who got the game for free, $30 isn't the most expensive game in the world, but it's definitely a lot harder to look at getting than Fortnite, which can start at is, you got a computer, you got internet, well, there you go, it's free. Or you got a PS4, you got an Xbox One, it's free. You don't have to pay $30, and you can just play Fortnite right away. So $30 is it's asking quite a lot if you're, battling between Fortnite and PUBG. And the last con for PUBG would be there's no way really to see how much damage each weapon does. This is actually one I just found out recently when I was playing Fortnite, is when you hit people, it tells you how much damage you dealt to them. You go and the bullet hits them and it like a big 23 damage comes out. In PUBG, you don't really know. You don't know if they're gonna die. Maybe that's their whole realism debate on it, but I kind of don't like it because then you're not gonna know if you almost killed them till after you're watching the kill cam. And for me personally, I'm already pissed off that I died, and I'm just like, oh, that stupid mother effer, I swear. You should have bled to death. You had 2 HP, and seeing it happen real time might help a little bit on relieving your anger. I don't know, it's probably just a personal problem of mine. But yeah, those are the pros and cons of PUBG. Now we're gonna finally move on to the pros and cons of Fortnite. Fortnite, pros, it has a pretty cool art style. In fact, I think it's really, really cool that it looks like that. The only disappointment I have is using the Unreal Engine. And I know that's supposed to be a flexible and diverse engine. It's just kind of bizarre to me to see an art style game like that come out on an engine that's supposed to push graphics hardcore and make it look as realistic as possible. But nonetheless, it's still really cool. It's very I wouldn't say water. I can't remember. The same kind of art style as Skyward Sword, except not as strong. It's a lot more laid back, but it's still pretty cool. It's a pretty cool art style. And another pro is it has emotes. I mean, I wouldn't really consider this a pro, but you can emote, whenever you want when you earn them. You always have that dancing emote you start with the beginning of the game, and you can earn little things that showcase your stuff. And when you're maybe in a group, it's just a little bit of icing on the cake when you think about it. When you're bored and you just want to emote. Another pro is it's free. Again, I already discussed this in the PUBG arguments, that here you can just, as long as you got a computer that can run the game, you can download the game. As long as you got 20 gigs of storage on there, you can download the game. It's free, and you don't really have to pay anything else unless you really, really want to. So, and this, to my knowledge, Fortnite has more optimization for a range of GPUs. This is probably just because they have, the art style probably helps to a degree, but having a bigger development team and more knowledge of the engine helps them to optimize it for all range of GPUs, which means more better performance on everybody's GPU, and that means more people can play it at a smoother rate and they're happier. So that is another pro of Fortnite. The next one would be faster paced games. Since the maps are a little bit smaller, and the thing, to my knowledge, shrinks a little bit faster, this leads to more engagement. It can keep you engaged into the video game for replaying. You can do a quick match if you really want. And overall, the gameplay feels a lot faster. So it just feels better to play games like that. It's almost like the Call of Duty effect, which I hate. I don't like mentioning that in a video like this, but it's just the best way I can represent it. The next pro would be no randomized crates, to my knowledge. Again, I didn't really think this through because they do have pinatas. I don't know what the pinatas do yet. I haven't played enough of Fortnite to earn one, or if you can, unless you buy a version of it, like the standard package or the deluxe package or the limited edition package. They say you can earn those every day with those versions, but I haven't bought them. So again, that's probably not really a pro because I'm probably lying. But the last pro for Fortnite is it tells you how much damage you do. Again, I already talked about this on the PUBG side. Whenever you shoot a gun, it tells you how much damage you did to them, and if it's a higher number, you probably did headshot them. It's just nice to know how much damage you're doing. Even if you lose the fight, you'd be like, man, I did 85 damage to them, and I almost would have won, and maybe if I moved to the left or right, I would have got them. It's all my fault. Stuff like that. So now we're moving into the cons of Fortnite. The first con I put up there is it's a small map. I mean, it's also the second con on this video is it's a small map and there's only one map. It's just that little island you can really just, you can learn everything about that map maybe in a couple playthroughs, because you can easily go everywhere. And it's a con to me because running around and exploring more can help create more distant engagements, can make things feel more intense because people can creep around you and you can get shot from far away, and those require more skill shots, but that's just a whole nother debate on there. So the next con on Fortnite would be the building mechanics can be really dumb sometimes, especially near the end of matches. They're just kind of like a battle of attrition. Who can build the highest building and survive the shrinkage of the map and stuff like that. Or people, I know this is just a personal skill thing because I'm not good with building in it yet, but people who want to get into engagement can build a real super fast, like freaking little fort, and then they can shoot at people and kill them real fast. Or maybe you would have, you got like a burst fire weapon, you're about to kill them, and then they whip around and build this wall and completely run away. It makes for more interesting combat, but it can just be really frustrating at times when the building is so rampant and unrealistic and quick, and you don't see it coming a lot. I'm not used to seeing it coming, so I consider it a con. Building mechanics are a cool gimmick in Fortnite, but I see it more of a con than a pro, but that's probably just because I played PUBG first. Now, another con would be no other aiming options in your third-person mode. You only really have that right-click to zoom in a little bit option. You can't really do a direct one-to-one with the gun in first person. The only exception to this are like the sniper rifles or scopes in the game, so that's a little frustrating to me because I like it when I can aim down and know where I'm shooting. And it just, I don't know, it's a personal problem with me again. A lot of these cons are probably going to be personal preference. Again, that's what this whole video is about. So yeah. Moving on to the next con for Fortnite is the drop's direction, like the direction of the bus at the beginning of the map, really doesn't matter at all. I mean, the map is so small and you get to be able to glide and drop whenever you want. You can literally go anywhere on the map from the bus. You can't do that in PUBG, and you really have to deal with the situation they give you if you want to drop early or drop later. In Fortnite, always what you really get to do is just drop out and drop wherever you want. Just float all the way over to the top left or the right, top right, the middle right, anywhere you want. So it's just being a small map doesn't help that, and it makes the direction it starts in pretty much pointless. And I think if they ever make a second map, they shouldn't make that so easy to do. And another con, to my knowledge, I haven't found any way to expand inventory in Fortnite. I've only been able to carry 5 weapons, and this could be a good thing for skill purposes, and technically you can hold more weapons in Fortnite compared to PUBG, but seeing how you can only hold like a bottle and a couple weapons and bandages and stuff like that, it's limiting and it's frustrating, because then you're like, I have this good gun, but I need these bandages or this med kit just in case I get shot. Maybe I'll just pick up the gun, because if I die, I'm going to probably die anyway. And it makes it just, you can't carry everything you want, and it's not fun to me to see that happen. I like choices. And now, the final con for Fortnite is you can't really choose a character. It's only the skin they wear, so you can only put on like customized clothes for the people. But whenever you spawn in, you're really just someone random. And I know, again, personal preference thing, I just find it a little annoying, just because I'll be like, oh, I want to be a guy and I want to run around like this cool dude, but no, I'm just chick, or I'm this other guy that I didn't really like, and maybe you're growing attached to one character and you want to be them all the time. Maybe you do better with them because it's your brain, reacts that way, and you're just like, I'm happy I'm this guy. It's just a personal preference of mine, and I wish you could choose who you wanted to be. I thought you could when I was first downloading Fortnite, and I was disappointed to see that you could not. So that is the final con. So yeah, I personally see more pros to PUBG than Fortnite to me, but that's just basically my opinion. So I must clarify again, this was not to attack a certain audience. So if you don't like that I don't like your preferred game, then please don't be so butthurt about it. I mean, I'm just one guy in this whole world out of 7 billion people, and you should learn by now that not everyone in the planet is gonna like everything you like. So I just learned to move on from that ASAP, especially if I were you. But anyway, I hope you learned something or get some kind of entertainment from this video, and maybe you can change your opinion in some slightly way, And I hope I'll see you guys next time. So Zeno is out, and don't forget to subscribe. And again, I am out of here. Doing that all in one take is pretty exhausting without water. Whew. All right, let's stop this recording. Stop.